Hey, everybody. Happy Herbal Study Hall Tuesday. How's everybody doing? Thank you all for coming. It's good to see you guys. I'm Jennifer Ocean Homestead, Wendy, and Phil back. Robin, hello, hello. Hey, Carol. Who else we got here with Penny? Good to see you, friend. And Gear Gryden, thank you all so much for coming. So tonight we have an interesting topic, and it's going to be all about tonifying herbs, tonic herbs, and adaptogen herbs. What's the difference? And we're just going to kind of do a deep overall dive into those herbs and chat about that. And I look forward to having this discussion with you all. Now, before we get started, though, let's take care of some business. So anybody that's new, my name is Tammy. I'm Mountain Girl. Welcome to my Herbal Study Hall. This Herbal Study Hall is designed for beginners and experienced herbalists, where we all just come together. We're studying herbs, one topic at a time. We do these every week, and the goal is to cover one herbal topic, and also to cover like one herb of the week and an herbal recipe of the week. And before we get started, I've got a medical disclaimer that I'll share. Hey, Heather, thanks for coming. And that is the reminder that this live is for educational purposes only. I'm not a medical professional, and nothing shared here is meant to diagnose, treat, or replace medical advice from a qualified healthcare provider. Herbalism can be supportive, but everybody's body and health history and indications clinically is different. So make sure you speak with your doctor or another licensed professional before trying new herbs, especially if you're pregnant, nursing, or taking any chronic medications or managing a medical condition. So there's my medical disclaimer. And it's tea time. Grab your notebooks. We're going to get started. And anybody want to share what they're drinking in their teacup tonight? I have got chamomile and lemon balm with some ginger in here and honey. It's a wonderful mix. Love it. It's been a busy day. Oh, and I put a few drops of ginkgo biloba in here too, so my brain's on it for you guys. I feel like I need that sometimes. So, anyone want to share what they've got in their teacup? Ooh, cleavers and hibiscus. That's a good diuretic blend too. Very cooling also. Loose leaf peppermint tea. Can't go wrong with that, Jennifer. Anyone else want to share? I'm glad that I've got some of my members here, because at the beginning of this live, I'm going to do a member giveaway. I thought that would be a lot easier than having to do it, as a separate thing. So I'm going to head over to the wheel here in just a second and share my screen, and we're going to do a member giveaway. Gear. That's so funny. All right, hold on. Let me share my screen real quick for you. Let's see. Is this the one? Oh, no, it's not. Hold on. I got to get it pulled up. With this guy. All right, can you all see it? So what I have on here is my members, and I want to thank all of my members. We've got My Alabama Farm Life, Mary Ann Post, 8146, and Philbeck, Penny Ortiz, 59, Simply Jan Homestead, Mona Did What, Buying Space, Just Because It All Adds Up, this is Lori, and Robin Hood, I think that's Minnesota, but that's Bob. And I've got all those names on the wheel. Thank you all so much for your membership and supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. It helps really to support this live. So I really appreciate you all. I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel, Good luck to everybody. Congratulations to Blind Space. And I believe her name is Myra. So, Myra, you need to email me your address so I can send you your prize. Now, later on tonight, we will also, let's see, does that make that go away real easy? Yes, it does. Okay. Later on tonight, we'll do another little giveaway for everybody that's in the chat, too. So, thank you all so much again for your support. Okay, buying space. Got my notes here. So congratulations to Myra. I know she's not always here during the live. She's somebody that comes and watches after the fact. All right. Has anybody done any herby things since last week? Hey, Tamra. Good to see you. Good to see you, Grace NYC. Thank you all for coming. Seeds is always a fun gift. I've got a lot of herbal seeds too. I'm excited about this year. I have planted some herb seeds. I've purchased some herb plants that I'm just going to try to plant that are difficult to grow, like Solomon seal, because I use Solomon seal root in my pain oil, and I really would like to have that fresh. It would be amazing. So I just ordered some so that I could, have the plants and maybe they'll live, because so far starting them from seed has not worked out for me. Anybody else want to share any herby things I got going? Marinating garlic in sugar water. Cool. All right, so we're going to be jumping into tonifying herbs, and I'm going to backtrack a minute just to remind you guys how we got here. Anne Philbeck has foraged cleavers and organized her herbs that she's going to plant. Awesome, Anne. I've been keeping an eye out for those cleavers. I know right where they're at. They're over in my little food forest area. What am I doing now? I'm really listening. Oh, awesome, Jennifer. So we got to the tonifying herbs because in previous lives, we've talked about herbal energetics and how that can refer to hot and cold herbs. It can also refer to, oh, Penny, bless your heart. I never did call you. I'm so sorry. I need to call you. So moisture, content. So like think of damp or dry or oily versus dry herbs, relaxing versus tonifying. And that sent me down a rabbit hole chatting about nervanes for, a couple weeks. I really paused there for a moment. We can also talk about dispersing or grounding, subtle or strong. These are other ways, but they're not the main ways that when we're talking about herbal energetics, the things that we're thinking about. We're really thinking the most about temperature and moist versus dry and relaxing versus toning. That's the big things. Hey, Jamie, good to see you, and thanks for coming. So just a reminder on those relaxing herbs, and we're going to talk about tonifying herbs first. And just like with the relaxing herbs, how we found that it didn't necessarily mean, that they would be just relaxing. It also included like diaphoretics, right? That might relax the pores so that they open up. It could also include like demulcent herbs, where if you think about those are moistening. So it might include something like that. And it could relaxing could also mean like your antispasmodic herbs, right? And then we jumped into nervanes, because that's what everybody does think about when they think about relaxing herbs. They think about herbs that help you relax. So we chatted about that for quite a minute. And we talked about the different types of nervanes, because there was tonifying and stimulants and calming and sedative. So we talked about the different kinds of nervanes, and tonifying herbs are very similar. So when you talk about just the simple tonifying versus relaxing, you find that tonifying can mean a lot of things. And it does mean a lot. When I started to look at the different texts, and in the different textbooks that I had, and some of them that I used was The Way of Herbs. There was a little bit about it in this guy. I even looked at the Herbal Gut Health book. The Adaptogens had quite a bit. Love that book. But when I look through all of those, when people think about tonifying herbs or herbal tonics, they really do think about it in a different way. So I'm going to start by mentioning the tonifying herbs first. And I just want to speak to this because Tonifying and tonic, it can mean very much the same thing, but people don't usually use it like that. They use it as with tonifying, that kind of refers to what an herb does. And with a tonic herb, that really kind of refers to what an herb is. So mostly when people are talking about tonifying herbs, they're talking about herbs that tonify tissues. And that doesn't always mean tighten the tissues, okay? So I kind of want to put that out there. So think about that. It doesn't mean tighten, but it means it's going to restore like the tone, the strength, the integrity. Think about like, the structural integrity of the tissue. And when I say tissue, that could be something different too. Are y'all with me so far? Is this making sense? We're starting with tonifying and that little word and what it means when we're talking about tonifying herbs. And then we're going to move to tonics. So, okay, cool. Thank you, Jennifer. So with your tonifying herbs, it could include some astringent herbs to treat laxity that you're seeing in tissue. Think of like, skin, right? That's not as tone as you want it to be, maybe muscle related, not tone. It could be referring to demulcent herbs that are treating really dry, inflamed tissue. I mean, you wouldn't want to have any astringent herbs on tissue that's already dry and inflamed, right? That wouldn't be the best path. It could also include nutritive herbs that are treating like a deficiency. And it could be herbs that just increase circulation. So tonifying herbs, it does include tonic herbs. It kind of is the same thing, but most of the time when people say something is tonifying, they're really referring to the impact on the tissue itself. So from what I read, that's everything that I gathered. It didn't seem like a lot of text really broke that down very much, to be honest. I think that there's some room for further discussion and on that. Any questions before I move on? Anybody have any questions? Yes, even under eye skin. Yeah, that you could think of that as like an area that needs to be toned and might benefit from a tonifying herbal remedy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, how about we move on to some tonic herbs? And this was a lot of fun because herbal tonics are basically your nourishing herbs. They're nourishing, they're nutritive. The goal of your tonic herbs is to restore function to an area. And what's really cool about all the tonic herbs that are available is that there are some organ system specific tonic herbs that are out there that really help. Now, it is a little bit different than adaptogens. Your adaptogens are really your tonic herbs. I don't know, maybe saying tonic herbs on steroids is like the wrong words to use because it's, the steroids, and we're talking about herbs. We don't want to talk about any other medication, right? But your tonic herb and adaptogens differ in the expectations of adaptogens. And I'll speak to that in just a minute, but I want to make sure you understand that your tonic herbs help to restore normal function to the body. And they could be having an impact on the body overall, but oftentimes, and I say oftentimes because there's more herbs that are really specific to one body function than there are herbs that are going to impact the entire body. Burdock root, is that a tonic herb? Burdock root is a blood cleanser, is what it's known as. So, I mean, it could be included in a formula. Absolutely. And one of the reasons I think that it's great to understand the tonic herbs and what parts of the body they help is because your best herbal path forward isn't necessarily going to be a simple, which means like, one single herb. Your best path forward for treating a person is going to be a combination of herbs. It's going to be an herbal formula. So if you can include a tonic herb in the herbal formula that you're putting together for somebody, and have that tonic herb help to treat an existing deficiency that person or patient might have, you're going to help them to not just get better in the short term, but help them in the long term to recover. So tonic herbs, they can restore balance. And if you think about who needs them, it's going to be anybody who is deficient. And I'm not going to jump down the TCM path just yet, because I know all of you here, I know most people aren't studying traditional Chinese medicine, and I don't want to, throw anybody off, but TCM calls it deficiency. You could think of it as a person who's coming out of an illness, who's been sick for a long time. And they're just not at 100%. That could be somebody that might benefit from a tonic herb. Maybe somebody who is burning the candle at both ends, which is probably a lot of you guys here. I know it's some of you guys here, because you're about like me. We're some hyper bunnies doing all kinds of stuff. It could be, helping to boost the immune system, helping to support the nervous system. It could be somebody who just, maybe they're getting older and they just need overall vitality built up and all of that good stuff. Heather. So tonic herbs are also herbs that can be taken for a long time. And let's talk about, before I go into the specifics of what tonic herbs and how they can be broken down, and how there's different tonic herbs to treat different body systems, I want to make sure everybody understands the difference between tonics and adaptogens. How are we doing? Anybody have any questions? All right, we're going to move on to adaptogens. And then we'll come back to tonic herbs. I just think this is a good segue to be able to talk about adaptogen herbs real quick. So adaptogens are non-toxic. And I mentioned that tonic herbs can be taken for a longer period of time. Adaptogens can really be taken for a long period of time. And they increase adaptive energy. So I did jump down the rabbit hole with some of the science behind these, but I think maybe adaptogens, I might take a whole class and really get down into the weeds on that one. We'll see. Maybe next week or the week after. They produce a non-specific defense system for stress. And if you think about it, that's one of the main ways that adaptogens differ from tonics, because they're specifically helping your body to adapt to stress. So if you think about your house, your body as a house, and you think about a storm as the stress that you're experiencing, and you think about the systems that you have inside of your house to protect you and repair and keep everything stable as your stress modulators, adaptogens impact your stress modulators. They don't necessarily prevent the stress, but rather they help your body or your house to stay standing, to repair damage faster, and to not overreact to every gust of wind that comes along. So that's kind of a good way to think about how adaptogens function. They work on a cellular level, and their goal is to normalize your body. And obviously, we mentioned stress. They're having an impact on the HPA axis and the SAS, right? Your sympathetic and parasympathetic system. We know that they're impacting those. I'll save the details on that for another time. But they also have some research behind them showing that they reverse immunosuppression caused by stress, that they reverse the decline of the immune system, function as people get older, and they've even been known to reduce the risk of cancer and heart disease. So lots of great things about adaptogens, but they have to meet certain criteria in order to be labeled an adaptogen. So while all adaptogens are tonics in one way or another, all tonics are not adaptogens. Does that make sense? Okay. Now we can go on and talk about the type of tonics that exist. And I just want everybody to keep this in mind. Most people here are probably interested. And my goodness, what have you done? Thank you so much, friend. Bless your heart. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That was really, really kind of you. Um, all right. So most people here are learning about herbs because they're wanting to be healthy themselves, healthier. They're wanting to repair or regulate something in their body that is out of balance. And that's what herbs do, right? We never say that we are diagnosing or treating any kind of disease or dysfunction. But what we say is we're helping the body to get in balance so that the body can help better, right? Primary and secondary adaptogens. Thank you, Tamara. Aw, thank you, Ian. And I'm curious. I wanted to hear as we go through these, I want to get some feedback from you guys because I got a plan for next week because there's something I'm really curious about and I want to nerd out on it. And then I'm going to share it with you guys. Yes, and I will, Jennifer, I will be buying more herbs with that. Um, so when we talk about tonics, let's talk about the different kind. And we talked a little, well, I don't know, a little bit slash a lot of it about nerve tonics over the last several weeks. So I won't jump down, that line too much because I know we've done that. The nerve tonics, how to get to sleep, relaxation, all that good stuff. There's also different herbs that are good as heart tonics. Does anybody want to guess one? I'll bet you somebody could come up with one good heart tonic. First person to guess gets a prize. Robin, I see you first. Is everybody with me on that? Robin guessed hawthorn. First person. Robin gets a prize. Writing it down. I'll be sending you a gift, Robin. Good job. Hawthorn, cayenne, but it's not an herb. I'm going to say yes to that. I like that one as a heart because it's good for circulation. My brain ties that into, the heart. Ashwagandha, it wasn't on the list, Anne, for heart tonics, but I know it is good for you. It was here. It's like an adaptogen, so it kind of falls on that in that list. We've got hawthorn, motherwort, ginseng, and Rehmannia. Rehmannia is a TCM herb that I'm really wanting to learn more about, and I'm going to take you guys along with me when I do. Matter of fact, I'm writing that down. I want to make sure that in the future, I do a monograph on that. So those are some very common heart tonics. And what I might do in the future, today I want to get through this list. I want to talk about all of these. I want to kind of gauge the interest of, my class members here, what you guys have an interest in. So keep in mind what we're talking about, because when we near the end of the live, I want to ask you all about, which one of these, how you feel about which one of these, and your interest in me diving down the rabbit hole first on. So we've already done nerve tonics pretty much, and we've just mentioned heart tonics. The next one up is stomach tonics. And this is, by the way, this list is coming from, I did add some. So it's mostly the way of herbs, but I added some in there because I felt like it wasn't complete. See, that's what you do when you study. When you guys are reading, don't just read one book. You don't necessarily have to read it cover to cover. And if you do, I've already read this one cover to cover because I had to do it for school, but I still go back and I reference it. And then I look in other books under the same section and try to compare the information. So the next one is stomach tonics, and that includes stomachics and bitters. which I was kind of surprised to see because I normally expect bitters to be under a liver tonic. So that was interesting. And I'm going to be delving into that more. And I'm going to read these for you because I don't know. I don't know if you all would guess them. Agrimony, gentian root, barberry, Don Shen, which is TCM herb, and elecampane, which I wouldn't have guessed any of those. And elecampane I used when I was, had a respiratory thing going on. So that was really interesting. Elecampane's another one that I really want to get a monograph done on soon. All right, so that's stomach tonics. Next up, urinary tonics. And these are mostly going to be like your diuretics. So your parsley, your gravel root, Fu Ling, Romania. And I'm going to add in here because what I think of when I think of like urinary tonic, I think of goldenrod. Like I would expect to see that one there. And remember, tonics are intended to be safe for long-term use. So if it's not there, maybe that's because there's some limitation on how long it can be taken, right? Horsetail. I think that one's a good diuretic. I love horsetail. I also love it topically. And I infuse horsetail in avocado oil and I use it on my face. I like that. I also use it in my pain oil. It has a synergy with Solomon's seal, which means in that case, 1 herb plus 1 herb equals 3 instead of just 2. 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 plus 1 equals, 3 plus. All right, liver tonics. Dandelion for liver tonics. That's right, Robin. Liver tonics we're looking at hepatic herbs, meaning herbs that not only help, clear the liver, like function in forms of stimulating bile to be released, like you think of with bitters, but it also is liver protective. So your liver tonics, your hepatics. Dandelion was actually at the top of the list. Milk thistle. I'm sure everybody's heard of milk thistle. Sassafras, stone root, cascara, which I thought that was interesting because I've heard of cascara. I think of a laxative herb. That's what I think of with cascara. So that was interesting. And mandrake, which I don't really know much about mandrake. All right. And then we also have, so remember we had this is what was interesting to me and what I want to dig into more because I might modify this. Turmeric. That's a good one. Burdock was good you thought burdock root. It is. Burdock root is good for the liver. It sure is. Hey, I see another Jennifer here. Thanks for coming, Jennifer. This list might not be all inclusive, guys, because this isn't me digging deep just yet. This is like high level. I just got some of these, and I really want to research them more. So I think in future lives, I'm probably going to break these down more. And we're going to spend a live talking about liver tonics. But what really had me on pause, and it was presented in this book this way, was that they broke apart stomach bitters, liver bitters, and they also broke away biliary tonics, which stimulate bile. So I thought that was really interesting because I thought that they're all kind of one and the same thing. So biliary tonics, what was listed was Oregon grapefruit, golden seal, rhubarb, parsley, and of course, wild yam. I would have put wild yam at the top of that list, and I probably would have different things on this list. So this is kind of interesting and definitely needs more research. So I will be looking into that. Any questions so far? All right. Another group of tonics is reproductive tonics or sexual tonics, but it's not all about that. It's about reproductive health. And reproductive health doesn't necessarily just imply during the years that you're reproductive, right? So we're talking about hormone balancers and things too. So some of those listed here include Damiana, ginseng, dong quai, burdock is in this one, which I thought was really interesting. Licorice, and of course, red raspberry leaf. But I would have pondered motherwort over here as well. Anybody else think of any that you thought you would think would be under reproductive tonic? Can wild yam produce seeds? That's one seed I don't have and want to grow. I'm sure it does, but I've never looked to purchase them. Does anybody here know? If you do, share it with us. Because I know a lot of folks here garden. All right, does anybody have, is there any of these tonic areas so far that you guys are thinking you'd love for me to dive a little deeper in? Remember, we had heart tonics, stomach tonics, urinary tonics, liver tonics, biliary tonics, reproductive tonics, raspberry leaf. Yep, that one was there. Well, actually, like it wasn't in his list. I added it. All right, the next one up is another one that I added because it wasn't in there. Brain health, like nootropics. If you've seen the term nootropics, you know, that's referring to brain health. That's like your brain tonics, I guess. I don't know if that's a thing. I might have just coined the phrase. But nootropics, I didn't. That's what they call it. And I'll bet you someone can think of an herb that would be a nootropic. Anybody want to give a shot at it? And Ann Philbeck said, yes, you can grow wild yam from seed. Hold on, I want to share some information. Jennifer Ocean Homestead said raspberry leaf naturally contains massive amounts of fluoride, likely tea leaves, except herb and root tea leaves. Likely tea leaves. Oh, likely. Interesting. I'll look into that. All right, we're seeing ginseng, ginkgo. So you guys are both right. Ginkgo biloba, gotu kola, bacopa, which is an Ayurvedic herb, Panax ginseng, and there are different kinds of ginseng, guys. I want to chat about that next week because I need to get that straight in my mind. Next week, I'm going to be sharing 3 different monographs on 3 different ginsengs because there's 3 different kinds, and I need to get it straight for my brain. So I'm studying and I'm taking you all with me. Also sage, rosemary. Those are all nootropics or tropics. All leaves used for tea except herb and root teas contain more fluoride than anything else in this planet. All leaves used for tea except. I'll have to look into that. All right. How you guys feeling about the nootropics? Jennifer, I would love to hear what your source is for that information. Like, where did you read this or hear this? I'd like to, I always go to the source. It sounds suspicious because when I do my monographs, one of the things I look at is constituents and it's never listed. So it could be if it's picking it up from the soil, but that might then, for example, if you're buying TCM herbs, Chinese herbs, they're prepared differently than other herbs. If you're buying Ayurvedic herbs that come from other countries, there's certain areas in the country where things grow. And as the plants are developing, they're pulling things out of the soil and they're tending to pull in some heavy metals and things like that into the plant. So I'm wondering if it's a situation like that. Black tea, green tea, oolong, ribose. Straight Chinese Australia. You can test the plants. It's in the leaves naturally. Okay, so Your teas are Camellia sinensis. They are a specific plant. And your herbs are not tea. They're only a tea because they're infused herbs. So I wonder if that's the difference. If you're talking about the tea plant, are you saying all herbs? Hey, Jan, good to see you. Okay, moving on. Restorative tonics. And this was a phrase coined by David Winston in the Adaptogens book. And it feels like there's a little bit of overlap. Okay, Jennifer's saying yes, herbs and roots used for teas don't have fluoride. Okay, thank you, Jennifer. That makes sense. Like the black tea. Okay, I got you. So restorative tonics. This includes herbs that, according to David Winston, herbs and medicinal foods that enhance vitality, strengthen and nourish humans or animals, and are often used to treat fatigue, anemia, malnutrition, immune depletion, and deficient or energy depleted, exhausted people. And they include the following in his list. But isn't that what we've been talking about? See, this is what I mean. Whenever you go to different textbooks, you're going to see a little bit of different information. The ones he referenced is amla, astragalus, heather, milk and honey heritage farms, bee pollen. I need to send you I'll take a picture and send it to you. Chayavanprash, which is an Ayurvedic herb, goji berries, gao qi ji in Chinese, nettle seed. I thought it was interesting. It's nettle seed, not leaf. Processed Romania, saw palmetto, and suma. Those are restorative tonics. According to David Winston, he had a little section carved out for these guys. And I'm kind of thinking some of these, like, I'll bet you in my list, you can kind of see my list I made. This says, like, I don't know if you zoom in, I could be lying. Hold on. Heart tonic, stomach tonic, and so forth. I feel like his list could probably be broken down and fit into one of these guys. I really want to do that. The other kind of tonics is nutritive tonics. It changes your hormones like soy does. Okay. Maybe, Jennifer, maybe I'll do a monograph on goji berries one of these times. I'm going to write it down because I'd like to do that. Nutritive tonics. So these are herbs and foods, like superfoods, and they're highly nourishing. They're usually high in vitamins, minerals, fiber, flavonoids, and your polyphenols, and possibly even your omega-3 fatty acids. They're really healthy herbs that you could use and maybe make like a multivitamin tea out of or something like that. So these include, anybody want to take a guess at an herb that would fall into the nutritive tonic category? I know y'all know this. Guess one herb. A highly nutritive herb. Another one that I need to do a monograph on because it's pretty amazing. First person to guess gets a prize, whether you guess right or not. Hey, Rushing Wind Mountain. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming. Tamara. Parsley. All right, Tamara, you need to email me. I need your address. You get a prize. Aw, Linda, thank you so much. My goodness, I am being blessed tonight. You guys are just amazing. Thank you, Linda. Love and hugs. And good to see you. Good to see you, Barb and Carolina, OMA Steph. Thank you all for coming. Nettles, Jennifer. Yep. All right, so Tamara guessed parsley, and she's right. Parsley, nettles. I thought everybody would think of the nettles because they're hugely nutritive. And you can create, and a matter of fact, I have one, a tea that's like an herbal multivitamin and include nettle in there. Parsley, dandelion leaf is on this list. Alfalfa, which I don't know, like, I don't know about making a tea with alfalfa. But I guess you can. I just, when I was little and had rabbits, I ate it. But We always use nettles for bladder infections or UTIs. Huh. Very cool. Seaweeds. Seaweeds are another one. So like kelp, bladderwrack, dulse, um, kombu. And don't forget the moringa leaf. That tree is just amazing. So if you have access to that, that's an amazing, amazing tree. Acerola cherry, beet powder. Anne says, I have a purple dead nettle tincture. Huh. I'm going to look that up. I got all kinds of purple dead nettle running around here. But I can't remember the difference between your stinging nettle and your purple dead nettle. That's where I need to do some research. Hold on. Curious minds want to know. Now I'm gonna have to look it up, Anne. Got me curious. Sea buckthorn, spirulina, chlorella, and be careful with the spirulina. If you have any immunosuppressant, like just, you hear these herbs, they're all great, but guys, you've got to do your research for you. You've got to be careful, because if you have any autoimmune disorders, sometimes some herbs could cause your body to hyperreact, and spirulina and chlorella are a couple you need to be careful with. Rose hips, big with vitamin C, right? And then also flax seeds. I mean, there's more. This is not an all-inclusive list, but this is a list of some nutritive tonics. How we doing? Anybody have any questions? All right. I do want to mention, for anybody who is studying Chinese medicine, and this is just like from my own notes too, TCM tonics. And with TCM tonics, they're treating what they refer to as the four treasures and Jing, or basically your post-heaven essence that resides in your kidney. So it is for deficient qi, deficient blood, deficient yin, deficient yang, or deficient Jing. So those are the deficiencies that your TCM tonics are going to treat. For deficient qi, it's Asian ginseng, Codonopsis, Eleuthero, licorice, and Prince Song. For deficient blood, it's white peony, goji berry, processed Romania, dongui, which is the same thing as Angelica sinensis. For deficient yin, it is American ginseng, Prince Song, Ophiopogon, goji berry, and Chinese asparagus. Not the same thing as asparagus that's in your garden. And then for Jing deficiency, it includes Asian ginseng, cordyceps, reishi, schizandra, and hishuwu, or foti, also called that. So those are the TCM tonics. Again, I have these here because those are in my notes. Maybe one of these, I'm trying to give you guys little bits of TCM knowledge here and there in hopes that it'll all kind of start to fit together for you. And one of these days, maybe this, as I get better with TCM, because I'm in school for that right now, that it will help me to be able to deliver the information to you. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. All righty. Are you all ready to hear about some Ayurvedic tonics, or as they call it, rasayanas? Put a 1 in the chat if we're good to go, or if you have any questions. Bath helps pull graphene out of the body. Oh, interesting. Hold on. Did I miss anything else? Heather said gumball tree. And Heather, forgive me, friend. I have no idea what you're talking about. No. I'm not sure I know the significance of the gumball tree. Stinging nettle does sting. Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, let's move on then. We're going to talk about Ayurvedic rasayanas, and these are rejuvenators, and rasa means primordial tissue or plasma, and ayana means path. So literally, it's the path that rasa takes. And in Ayurveda, the qualities or the state of the rasa determines your overall health and well-being. So hence rasayana, and the impact that it has on the other tissues of your body. So you're going to recognize a couple of these herbs because we've talked about them before, and I've done monographs on a couple of these with you guys. Anybody want to take a guess at a Rasayana or like overall restorative, revitalizing body tonic that's in the Ayurvedic herbal medicine cabinet? Oh, Tamara, you do? My email is, hang on, I'll put it in the chat. Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody want to? Nope, not peppermint, not mullein. Remember, it's Ayurvedic. It is ashwagandha. That's a big one. Tulsi. Yes, Jennifer. Jennifer F. That's right. Tulsi is another one, which is also known as holy basil. That's one. Amla, which is one of the 3 herbs that's in the triphala that I chatted about with you guys before. Arjuna bark is another one. Bacopa, Bala, and you guys have heard of Gotu Kola. So Gotu Kola, Gaduchi, Shatavari, Shilajit, and Shakpushpi. Now, one of the reasons there's like so many that they say are good for the whole body, and they're rasayanas, and there's these tonics that are great for, taking for a long time, is because Ayurvedic herbalism is really, really heavily into food as medicine. So, for example, the Shilajit, I think it is. I don't want to give you guys wrong information. They'll tend to put things in honey. And sometimes these things, and I think Shilajit's one of them, Shakpushpi also, but they'll almost be like little jellies or something. But you can take those and they're overall great for you. All right. How we doing? Aw, that's okay, guys. You guys did a good job. Anybody have any questions for me? All right. Now, my plan for next week is I want to chat about the ginsengs because there's 3 of them. And my brain needs to get it straight on these different ginsengs. So next week, we're going to have 3 monographs that we're going to do. And I realized that last week, I didn't share with you all a recipe. So get your notes ready because I'm going to give you last week's recipe for herbal relaxation tea. And that is, it's going to be 1 part of all of these that I'm going to give to you. Lemon balm, skullcap, chamomile, peppermint, and lemongrass. 1 part of each of those. And they're all leaves. So what you'll do is you'll boil the water. You'll have all these mixed up, equal amounts. So it could be a teaspoon of each, right? And then separate it out into, your teaspoon. And then you'll just cover it with the boiling water. You won't boil it, but you'll have the boiling water, cover it, and then put like a little plate on top of your coffee cup or something and steep it for 15 minutes. If I get, there's a kind from Russia I want, but it's banned across the border into Canada. Shilajit. I researched ginseng and forgot which was best. It's in my cabinet. Yeah, it's confusing. Oh, and I see a question from Jan too. What is the difference between stinging nettles and purple nettles, property-wise? That's what I want to know. I've got it written down, Jan. That is something I'm going to be digging into. What can be substituted for chamomile? It depends on what the intention is. Like the first thing that I think of is lemon balm, but it also depends on who the person is that's going to be taking it. Because, if you have any hypothyroid condition, you wouldn't want to take lemon balm. Oh my gosh, which reminds me, Heather, I'm supposed to make a under eye serum and I still haven't done it. You can tell. You only need the tiniest bit mixed in water. Yep, Heather's allergic to chamomile. But if you're looking for something that's relaxing, I love a lemon balm tea. Really can't go wrong with that. All right, now I have another question for you guys. I am going to read out the different kind of tonics, and I want to hear from you all. What are you interested in me jumping down the rabbit hole with next? Because I'm going to get through these. I want to get through these tonics. And I feel like we've talked so much about nerve tonics that I don't think I need to go there again. But tell me in the chat. We've got heart tonics. We've got like, let's call it digestive tonics, because I'm not really feeling the stomach tonic versus liver tonic versus biliary tonic, the way that it was broken down. That doesn't really quite work for me. And just because it said it in one book doesn't mean we have to run with that. I want to research it a little more. But of your heart tonics, digestive tonics, urinary tonics, reproductive tonics, brain tonics, is there any you all are the most interested in? This is what I want to know. I see a heart tonic from Jamie's Country Living. Ooh, Jam planted a bunch of lemon balm. Awesome. Heart, since everyone's getting older. Brain. I mean, you know, anyone getting older, we're like free game for all of it. And I am going to do all of it. Just depends in what order. I see a couple more heart tonics. Oh, that'll be a fun one. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, I heard a cool thing today in my TCM class. I don't know if I can repeat it right, though. Hold on, let me think. So with TCM, you do pattern diagnosis, and you recognize that, gosh, how do I say this to people that haven't been through the beginning? You recognize sometimes that one symptom could actually, a symptom's considered a branch, and the problem could be stemming from somewhere completely different. Like, you're going to be like, what, when I tell you this? Could be stemming from the root. But if you understand how TCM works and the way that it connects different organs with supporting organs, I'm trying to think of like different ways to say this than what it really is. But it pairs your organ systems. So your heart is paired with your small intestine, for example. And if you have heat in your heart, it can heat up your small intestine. And if your small intestine's overheated, it can actually cause heat to occur and result in somebody who has frequent UTIs. Who would think, right? It's really fascinating the way that traditional Chinese medicine has recognized these connections. And it's something you have to you accept the difference in the way that they look at the organ systems, because it's not going to be a one-to-one comparison with the way that biological medicine would look at those organ systems. But they recognize that there is a connection, and there's a pattern that occurs with sicknesses. So if you go in and you treat somebody's UTI and they say maybe you take care of that acute problem, you're treating the branch, but then they have them more frequently because the root isn't just the UTI, and it's not even just the bladder or the kidney, but it's something completely different. It's heat coming from the small intestine, which is possibly coming from the heart. So who knew? And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with the heart. It means wrong, I guess, is the wrong word. It means that something is out of balance there. Just really interesting stuff. But I love that. I love the heart. All right, we will do that one. So next week, we're going to do the 3 ginsengs. And if I have time, and I think that there's time to chat about it enough, we'll also talk about heart tonics. Otherwise, we'll talk about heart tonics the week after. Now, I promised y'all, we're going to do a giveaway real quick with everybody that's in the chat. So let's see. Since we are talking about heart tonics, oh, you know what? Let's do this. Everybody put in, oh, hang on, I got to share my screen. Okay, go here. Make sure I'm right, there we go. All right. I want everybody to put this in. Hashtag HSH. Hashtag HSH. They fix the symptoms, but yep. Mm-hmm. Like if your left hip hurts, could be something off on the right, or due to your knees or ankle problem. Like cortisol, the health problems people have with high cortisol is from high cortisol, but can be assumed it's all kinds of other things. Yeah. Like when people buy facial cleansers and creams to clear up acne, but you have to change food to clean up skin issues. Yep, for sure. Oh, also, guys, if you haven't had a chance yet, if you could go and hit the thumbs up for me, that would be a wonderful thing. Thank you so much. All right. I think we've got 13 people here, and I see 9 hashtag HSH. So if you want to be in the drawing, if there's anyone else, I'll give you another minute to get in there. All right. Let me come back over here, and we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. Or draw, it's called. Here we go. Good luck, everybody. And congratulations goes to Marianne Post. Awesome. Congratulations, Marianne. You need to email me and post. Let me share my email with you real quick. Putting it in the chat for you. Congratulations. And thank you all so much for your support of this live. It's a lot of fun for me. Y'all are helping me stay on task with my own herbal studies. And, teaching other people is another way of learning things better yourself. So that's why I wanted to do it. I'm on a mission to complete my school by next March. And I'm trying to get my assignments handed in. So it is kind of crazy because what I'm working on for school, I'm not necessarily working on for this live. So I'm doing things studying over here in one area and presenting information over here in another, but it all does come together, and it's helping me acknowledge like where there's gaps in my own understanding and where I can just get better and be a better herbalist. So thank you all so much. And I appreciate you coming, and I will see you next week. Go do all of the fun herby things and be ready to report back next week with what you all did. That's my challenge for you. Do something herby. Make yourself grow, make yourself smarter. Like we're all as smart as we all, but all together, we're like almost a genius. So thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.